What's up, gang? My name is Chase.
And my name's Luke.
And we are Crooked Stix. Welcome back. Season 3, Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I like that.
Super exciting.
Good little ring to it. Thanks for tuning in to last week's episode. I don't know how many of you tuned in. We're slacking a little bit on like the Instagram reels and stuff.
And I think that's all right. I mean,
yeah.
I did like it when we were full bore and people were watching us all the time and things like that. But at the same time, it's nice to kind of take a break and just do us, you know?
Still put out some content, though.
Yeah.
Here and there. I did have a shout-out Chuck Olson, who's a avid Crooked Stix listener. Nice. He came in dropping off some stuff the other day at the dealership and was like, hey, man, good episode. Good luck with hockey. Hopefully those aren't the bed bug clothes. And I was like, yeah, no, they're not. So it was good, man. It was fun. So shout out to Chuck. Yeah. Today, we are going to talk about being salty.
Yeah. And I do want to shout someone out as well.
Oh, yeah, do
Charlie
it.
Gardner.
Charlie.
He reached out, said great episode. Shout out to you, Charlie.
Yeah.
And actually joined the Social Minute.
Did he really? Yeah, heck yeah, cool, man.
He reached out and was just like, hey, tell me about the Social Minute.
I like that.
So I think it's on his, what does he do, like personal training?
Yeah, yep.
In the gym and helping people with nutrition and all that. So
heck yeah, shout out Chucky.
You can find him on the socialminute.com.
So, little plug talk. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
So today we're talking about being salty. That's what we're gonna label this one as. And so I'm going to kind of just set the tone for what we're talking about today, and then we're going to dive deeper into it. So this all kind of stemmed from a sermon that I listened to, and it's talking about this specific passage. I'm going to read this quick. We're in Luke chapter 14, and it starts at verse 34. It says, "Now salt is good, but if salt should lose its taste, how will it be made salty? It isn't fit for the soil or for the manure pile. They throw it out. Let anyone who has ears to hear listen." So what I think is cool about this, and this sermon I was listening to kind of broke this down. Jesus, he specifically says salt is good, right?
Yep.
And it's like, man, if we think about salt today, salt is kind of seen as a negative thing. In a sense, right? Like health-wise, high sodium, bad blood pressure, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, obesity, like it, whatever. All this bad, negative vibes on that. But then, you look at it too and you say, okay, there's over 14,000 things that we use salt, that we can use salt for today that we know of.
For sure.
Over 14,000 things.
Pretty much anything you have has salt in it.
Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. But even on the side of like, oh, you can use it for this, or it helps with this, or it does that. There's over 14,000 things they say you can use salt for. Back in biblical times, salt was mainly good for 3 things. It was good for seasoning, it was good for preservation, and it was good for killing wounds, or like killing bacteria, so like dumping it on wounds and stuff.
Yep.
So it was good for seasoning, preservation, and killing bacteria. Okay, so then to break that down, and what I thought was cool is like he puts it into like little blurbs. So with seasoning, what do you do with seasoning? You sprinkle it. You sprinkle seasoning on the meat, right?
Yep.
With preservation, what do you do when you're trying to preserve something? You cover it. So you're covering the meat so it doesn't spoil, right? Or you're covering the thing.
It like soak.
Yeah, you're letting it soak. And then with killing bacteria, what did they would dump it on the wounds, and it would eat away at the bacteria and stuff. So he takes that and he says, okay, let's break it down. Let's talk about seasoning. And sprinkling, just giving it a little bit of that, dude. Salt Bay, yeah. But it's like, really think about that. In our lives, especially following Jesus, we ought to be sprinkling Jesus in every single area of our life.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And do you feel like, I mean, honestly, do you feel like you do that?
I try my best.
Yeah.
I'm getting more, you're starting to, I start to realize it a little bit more, like how I should be approaching certain things.
Yeah.
Like now we're at an age where there's like, the younger generation coming up into the workforce, like the mid-20s now.
Yep.
You have the 21-year-olds to 25-year-olds where we still feel like we kind of fit in with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're still like 5 to 6 years older than them.
Right.
So even sprinkling in, because if you just like shove something down their throat, they're going to look at you like you're dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they're not, of course, a follower of God.
Yeah.
So sprinkling is super important with that age group right now because it's planting seeds. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's one thing, and we're going to touch on this more, but that's one thing I think we and I'm speaking even for myself, but we as a body of believers and followers of Christ, that's something we lack in hardcore.
Yeah.
And again, we'll come back to this, but instead of sprinkling, we dump it.
For sure.
Hardcore. And really, it should be something where you see a glimpse of it everywhere in our life. So when we're in our friend group, we're that friend that's just different. Not in like a weird way, like we ain't the one that just sings randomly or like dances, but I'm saying like we're that friend that you can noticeably see a difference in that dude. And you go, gosh, what is that? Why don't he chime in on some of the jokes we make, or what's going on? Like he's different that way. But that's an area where we can sprinkle Jesus. You're sprinkling that glimpse of who Christ looks like and planting a seed. You have opportunities there. In your work family, at work, there's plenty of opportunities that I don't take advantage of.
For sure.
To sprinkle Jesus in there and make him seen through my actions and through my words and through things like that. My own family, and I think that's probably where people tend to do it best, is with your own family, because it's more private. Mm-hmm. You don't feel maybe as awkward, whatever. Yeah. But there are so many avenues that we could be shining a light for Christ and sprinkling Jesus in all areas of our lives, and I feel like we lack that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And an example of this would be couple episodes, maybe it was last episode, I was telling you about the interview I did with a college kid. Yeah. And my little sprinkling in this conversation was introducing him to Forrest Frank.
Yeah, dude.
And his music.
Forrest Frank slaps.
He slaps,
as the kids say.
But the kid was like, yeah, I'll check him out, but I know Forrest Frank is a Christian rapper, he has really...
You knew that, or he said he knew that?
No, I knew
you that. Knew that, yeah.
And I like him, but he was really into music. I was like, have you heard of Connor Price? I don't know.
Yeah,
Instagram and Forrest Frank, and he's like, yeah, I'll check them both out. I've never heard of their names, but maybe you never know what that leads to. That could have been where maybe he starts digging Christian music. I don't know what the outcome of that, but
well, again,
like
there's a seed, a sprinkle, because even with their music, it's not like hardcore pressing Jesus,
right?
But there are glimpses of him in their music, and that's what's cool. Is it's very subtle, and I feel like, and again, we're gonna come back to this a little deeper, but I feel like people oftentimes think, well, if I ain't going big with it, then I ain't doing it good enough.
Yeah.
But there's also a side of it where it becomes damaging. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it'll push you away.
So we're going to come back to that in a sec. The second thing he talks about in this sermon that I thought was cool was preservation, right? And they used it for preserving food. So preserving, you look at what that means, and it's basically retaining or maintaining the same consistency or shape or whatever. It's maintaining it, keeping it alive, not bringing it to an end.
Right.
Is preservation. And so how do we preserve? That's our faith. We preserve our faith. How do we do that? We are in our word daily. We're putting on the armor of God daily. Mm-hmm. Those are things when we're investing ourselves into God daily, that's preservation for our faith.
For sure.
And I think that's really cool to think of it like that. the Bible, I love the saying, I've heard it before, but the Bible is the only book that opens you the more you open it.
Dang.
Think about that, dude.
Yeah,
That's
that was
deep. The Bible is the only book that opens you the more you open it.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
And a lot of us, we just get in this this realm of just putting the book aside.
Right.
You know, you take it on your back.
Yeah.
Wear the backpack. But yeah, the key thing there is to just continue. Continue doing it.
Continue and maintain. And that's what preservation is. And we just talked about this last week. Like, how do you focus on Jesus, and then all of a sudden you're off the rails and you ain't opening your Bible and you ain't plugging into your source every single day? How do you expect to be a good shining light for him when you ain't even tapping into the source yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where you get that drive to want to go out and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And just you want to glorify him because of all he's done for you and what you're reading. That's fueling you to go out and glorify him and just be and be the best disciple you can be.
Right.
You know? So preservation, I think, is an important one. And again, you're covering yourself in God's word daily.
It's preserving you. It's making you go on.
It's making that maintain. And then we're talking about killing bacteria, dude. We're going on to the third one, which is killing bacteria, which is dumping. So we've talked sprinkling, we've talked covering, and now we're talking dumping. And that's where I'm saying, dude, that's something we as a body of Christ, that's what I think do poorly a lot, or too often, is we tend to open that salt shaker, dude, full throttle and just dump it on people. Like, oh, what's that? You said you don't believe in Jesus? Okay, you're going to hell. Let me just tell you real quick where you're going. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, that ain't it. That ain't the answer. Did Jesus get riled up when people didn't believe in what he was doing or went against him? You know how many people went against Jesus?
Right.
It happened a lot. Like, it ain't nothing new.
And he just took it, you know?
He's very gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had authority with what he said. And yeah, he might have said some stuff that, you read some scripture, there's some stuff he says that kind of stings a little bit. Right. But I guarantee he didn't say it with the same tone we might. Mm-hmm. It was probably presented a lot differently.
He wasn't trying to throw the
than how we do it, you know? And I've seen too many people do that, and it's hard. I've done it myself, where somebody doesn't align with my views on things, and it's like, let me tell you about this burning pit of fire, dude, that you're about to find someday if you don't, you know. And it's like, whoa, just relax.
You got to put yourself in their
eyes, we were all there once.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think people forget. We were all in that stage once. We all didn't come out the womb like, yeah, I believe in Jesus.
Right.
You have to reach that point. So, and for some, it's not as easy. There's people that have to hit rock bottom before they even go to God with anything. Before
even past that.
Right. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many people in my life personally that I know that they were in it. They were in some stuff. And it's like, no, I don't need them. I can do this on my own. Really?
Yeah.
You're that deep in what you got going on and you need help. And you're trying everything else and it ain't working. You ain't going to go to the source. Like, come on, dude, you know.
And something that just happened, I just saw this news article. This is a little like tangent, but Oklahoma family just recently, it was the husband and the wife, and they had 4 kids, all aging from 10 to 18, somewhere in that range. The husband and the wife get in a little argument.
Tizzy. Yeah.
He shoots the wife dead.
Oh my gosh.
3 out of 4 of the kids, and then kills himself. The only one left is the 10-year-old. That kid woke up that morning, everybody was murdered in his house, and he called the cops. Now you just pray that kid gets sprinkled, and you just pray that his life turns into something great.
Right.
And that he finds Jesus one day.
Yeah.
Because I would assume with the situation, he might not have found Jesus at this point in his life.
Right.
Assuming. But you just pray that, like, people like that, that's rock bottom, and you're only 10 years old.
Right. You got a lot of life left.
He doesn't even know it yet.
Lord willing, you got a lot of life left, and you just dealt with that 10 years in.
Right.
And, yeah, dude. And that's, going back to that, though, like, kind of branching off that story, you can't change people.
Right.
So going to that boy and saying, you need Jesus now. I'm telling you that, do it, blah, 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 or you're going to hell. This ain't that. No, like you can't change if he don't believe. And that goes for anybody, dude. That goes for somebody that's 70 years old and lived a lot longer than we have. You ain't going to change them. Only God can change them. You can't change their heart.
Right.
So if you can't change their heart and you know that, what do?
Yeah.
You just be there for them. You just walk with them. Jesus came down. He sat with people that didn't deserve to be sat with, in my opinion. They didn't deserve to have him even near them because of their situation and how holy he is and how righteous he is. They didn't deserve. I don't deserve it, but he did.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you know what I'm saying. But that was because the only reason I looked over and acknowledged him and went, "Hey, I'm gonna come sit by you, if that's cool," was because other people in my life were sprinkling my entire life. I never once really had somebody shove Jesus down my throat, ever. I don't know if I've ever had somebody look me dead in the eye and say, "Do you believe in Jesus? You're going to hell if you don't."
Right.
I had people like my mother. I had people like my brother, my dad, in a sense, a little bit here and there, aunts and uncles that it would be the slightest thing like, "Hey, love you. I'm praying for you. Hey, let me tell you about something." And then they'd tell me a cool story and they were like, "God's good."
Yeah.
Or they would tell me something bad, and even the bad stuff. And they would be like, "God's over it. I trust that." That little, just little sprinkle was enough for me to be like, what do they mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's intriguing to me. So I now want to go look into that myself.
Right.
Because I have to bring myself to go do that. You ain't going to make me go do that. Right. It's like an addict. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like an addict. My dad was an alcoholic his entire life. I looked at my dad several times in the eyes and said, "Dad, I need you to quit drinking. You have to quit drinking. Have to. This isn't like this life for you isn't going to end well. I'm hurting because of you." Even that wasn't enough to change his mind.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had to hit his knees and say, "God, I can't do this on my own. I know you're here. I believe in you. I trust that you can take this from me." And he's been sober ever since.
Bada bing, bada boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's
just
true.
wild, dude.
And I think about going back to the difference between sprinkling and pouring it on.
Yeah. Dumping.
There was a video out there, and it had to do with this woman with Alzheimer's. And either Alzheimer's or dementia. Maybe it was dementia, where you just kind of, you don't realize where you are.
Am I dumb for thinking they're the same thing? Like, are they the same thing, or are they not the same thing?
I don't know. I guess
I don't even know, dude. And I'm not trying to like I'm trying to make a joke out of it. I'm being real.
No, I'm pretty sure they're very similar, but I don't know. I guess I don't know. But anyways, either way.
Yeah. Right.
So this lady, it's an older woman who lives with her daughter because her daughter's taking care of her, of course.
Yeah.
And the woman starts walking down the driveway. And the whole premise of the video is the daughter goes up to her and the mom's like, the daughter's like, "Where are you going?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm walking to Tennessee." "Oh, okay. All right. Can I come with you?" She's like, "Yeah, let's go." She's like, "Which way is it?" And the mom's like, "I think it's north." And the daughter's like, "Okay, but I forgot to pack my bags. Can we just go back in the house and pack our bags?" And the lady's like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's go back in the house and pack our bags, and then we'll go to Tennessee. And so the lady comes back into the house. And the rest of the video is this daughter saying, now, if I were to take a different approach at that and say, oh, Mom, no, you got to come back in the house. Like, you've kind of lost your mind. You know, you're sick and you're getting old. And that lady would have never turned back and went to the house.
Right.
So I think of it as, like, the way you approach certain situations.
Right.
Like, she just sprinkled it in there. She followed the trail. She was just like, oh, well, I forgot to pack my bag. She went with it, you know. She just very politely wrapped it back around to come back into the house.
Yeah.
And if she would have took the other approach, the lady would have never listened.
Right. And not even like you're trying to trick people. Because that's not your intention, right?
Right.
And like in that scenario, maybe that's kind of what it was. Is like, I'm gonna present it differently because if I know she won't respond, right, I'm gonna trick her into getting back in the house, right?
Right.
But
which you kind of have to do in that scenario, but that
right. But to tie off of that, it's like, all you're trying to do is have a genuine conversation. That's all it is. Going at it argumentatively, that does nothing productive for either side.
Right.
You know, you can force all you want down their throats. It ain't helping you. It ain't helping your case. Yeah. You know, and so I think, I definitely agree that how you present that is huge. It's critical. Mm-hmm. And I used to do that. I remember a good buddy of ours asking me a question, and I got fired up, dude. Because I was like, oh, okay. It's like that. Like, okay, let's get into it. And I was like hot. And it's with good intention,
right?
Because I believe in Jesus so strongly that I will go to bat for him. You know what I'm saying? But he wouldn't also want that. He wouldn't want it to get defensive and argumentative and push that person away.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be like that. And so I guess I don't even know if you have more to say on this topic, but it's like, but it's like, dude, the thing I just kept thinking about on my drive over here was, and you've probably seen this on a reel or heard it said before, but I heard it long ago, and it was more of a question to reflect on. How cool would it be if when we got to heaven, you get into heaven, okay? You're walking through doing your thing, and somebody came up and said, "Hey, dude, and maybe this ain't even how heaven is. I don't know, dude. Yeah. But what if somebody came up and was like, dude, hey, I just want to say thank you. I watched a podcast episode one time, and you were on there, and you said something that really stuck with me. I seeked my faith, and here I am."
Yeah.
Like, or you, dude, I saw you with that lady, and she was having a hard day, and you prayed with her, and that really got me thinking. Not to say we're their saving grace that puts them there, but just to know, like, how are you living your life, and do you think it's impacting someone positively for the kingdom?
Or maybe even negatively. If
you know what I'm saying? Because we ain't going to save them. We ain't their ticket to heaven. But is how you're talking to them and how you're maybe living your life, are they seeing it? And because of what they're seeing from you or hearing from you, is it allowing them to kind of have that seed planted and go, man, I'm gonna check that out.
Right.
I'm gonna dive into that more. And that could help lead them to Jesus. That's what we're here to do.
Yep.
We're not here to save people. We're here to lead people to the one who can save.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would say, what do we always say? Challenge. Challenge, dude. Challenge yourself. I want you guys to just think about that. And it's more of a reflection, right? It's more of a heart check. Like, are you living your life in a manner that is a reflection of Christ and planting seeds in other people's lives around you?
Yeah. And I would extend that out as a further challenge of looking at it as Jesus treated everybody the same. Mm. So are you sitting there judging others? Are you sitting there, because, judgment is a sin. You're sitting there.
Are you the judge?
Are you the judge? Are you sitting there judging these people that don't necessarily believe in Jesus, and are you treating them differently?
Because of it. Yeah.
Because of it, when Jesus never would. I've found that happens. Even like gossip and everything. Gossip's a huge one that we all do. I mean, it comes down to, but something to look into. I mean, I think it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
That you sit there and are you doing things to sprinkle goodness in everybody's life?
Yeah.
Or are you sitting there turning people against each other and not treating everybody equally?
The good news is meant to be good. Don't forget that.
It's about to be a good day.
Good news is meant to be good. Don't be going around telling everyone they're going to a lake of fire.
Yeah.
All right? Just relax. Take a step back. The reality is, more people, I think it even says this in the Bible, more people are going to end up in hell than they will in heaven. That's a fact. Jesus says that. I'm pretty dang sure.
That's crazy, dude.
We'll find out. I'm gonna look that up, and we'll come back and I'll read that to you next week. But I'm pretty sure in the Bible it says more people are going to end up in heaven. You know what? I'm gonna find this out right now, dude. My phone's up there. I'm videoing. I can't even do it. But I guarantee it says that in the Bible somewhere because I remember it. I think I'm gonna look that up, and I'm gonna come back next week, and we're gonna talk about that. But I think I'm pretty confident it says that there's more people that are going to end up in hell than there are in heaven. That's heartbreaking.
It is.
That's terrible. Heartbreaking. So let me just say this. Why do we want to push more and more people away from heaven, from Jesus, by being dorks and flat out just being like, hey, hell.
Yeah.
You ain't good enough. You ain't going to be there. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Look at where you were. Take a step back. Remember where you were at one point in your life, and did Jesus walk away from you? Did Jesus tell you flat out, I don't want you, you're going to hell? He didn't do that.
Amen, brother.
All right. That's all I got.
That's all we got.
Crooked Stix. Out.